done to favor upcountry UPE schools. According to this post, results of the top schools in Kampala were poor because of the so-called policy. This was followed by another post by a person who made another wild claim that after visiting UNEB offices, the grades of his daughter, who had got very high marks, had been changed, and UNEB had apologized to him. I wish to state that no parent of any description went to UNEB, and no such interaction took place. In any case, even where a candidate is dissatisfied with an aspect of their results, the procedure is clear. It is that the complaint is lodged with UNEB by the head teacher of the school. Not the parent, not the candidate, but the head teacher of the school, through the district inspector of schools. UNEB does not deal with individual parents of candidates. I wish to state categorically that UNEB does not have a policy of undermarking schools or using a grading system that advantages any category of schools in any part of the country. Such policy is not at all contemplated. On the contrary, UNEB is constantly devising ways of improving its methods of work to ensure equity and reliability in the examination results. Only one standardized marking scheme is used by all the examiners in a particular subject. In addition, the board has adopted the conveyor belt system of marking, where a candidate's script is marked by a group of examiners under the supervision of a senior examiner, so as to improve on reliability of the examination. The board has also anonymized the schools using codes so that the examiners and other persons involved in processing the results do so without knowing the identities of the schools. It is only at the stage of printing the results that the schools are decoded. These innovations are made to ensure that each candidate gets the results he or she deserves. The best way to address challenges in performance in any school is for such a school to examine its internal operations, and this includes teaching methods. This is also a way of ensuring that they put in place mechanisms to rectify any deficiency that they may discover. So blaming UNEB is not a solution. Schools need to get down to examining their operations and their systems to see where is the problem. And as I said earlier on, every year UNEB prepares reports, and these reports are supposed to help the schools to identify areas where they are weak, so that in the next exam they do better. So if things have not gone well, please don't blame UNEB. Honourable Minister, I'd like, on behalf of the board, to thank you and the ministry you head for the tremendous support given to us. I again thank the Executive Secretary and all the staff of UNEB for the hard work that has ensured the timely release of the UCE results. The board appreciates the great contribution made by the examiners during the process of examining the scripts of our children. Appreciation also goes to the media houses for the support in the course of our work. I would like to congratulate the candidates who have performed well and thank their teachers, their parents and guardians for the support that they gave them. Those who may not have done well should not lose hope, but seek alternative avenues to further their development. I now invite the Executive Secretary to present the details of the detailed statement of release of UCE results that I have referred to in my remarks. I thank you for listening to me.
The First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Mama Janet Museveni, the Honorable Ministers of State for Education, the Honorable Chair of the Parliamentary Committee on Education and Sports, Honorable Members of Parliament present, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education and Sports, members of the UNEB Board, the Chair, UNEB, the senior officers of the Ministry of Education and Sports, senior officers of UNEB, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister, with pleasure, we present to you the results of the 2018 Uganda Certificate of Education for release to the public in accordance with Section 4, Subsection 2 of the UNEB Act, Cap 137, Laws of the Republic of Uganda. The examination was conducted, as the Chair said, from the 15th October to 16th of November. The theme that guided our activities during this examination, Honorable Minister, was integrity and security in the management of examinations is my responsibility. Candidature increased by 3.3, as you've heard, and the total that registered this year's exam was 335,435. And of these, 152,278 were beneficiaries of the Universal Secondary Education Program. As you've heard, parity is almost being achieved. The ratio in 2017 had been 50.7 males to 49.3, and in 2016 it had been 51.0 to 49.0. So we are inching slowly towards a ratio of 50-50. In the last year, 330,721 candidates appeared for the examination, and this was an increase of 3.2% over 2017. The statistics are provided in Table 1, and to note there, Honorable Minister, is the steady increase in candidature and, happily, also the steady decline in absentee candidates, meaning that more of our candidates are registering and staying on to sit for the examination. We had a total of 358 special needs candidates. This was an increase by 1 over the last year, and there were various categories: the blind, those with low vision, the deaf, the dyslexics, the physically handicapped, and there were a few other types of disabilities that did not require any specific type of assistance except to be given extra time. As the Chair has said, adequate provisions were made to ensure that the candidates had as much as possible the effects of their disabilities reduced as they took the examination. All of them were given an extra 45 minutes on each of the papers they did, more than the others. Honorable Minister, UNEVA has also been working with the Uganda Prison Service to assist them in their efforts at rehabilitation of the offenders. The center at Luzira Prisons registered 43 candidates for the 2018 examination. 40 of those sat, and 7 of them obtained Division 2, none of them obtained Division 1. 20 were in Division 3, 11 in Division 4, 1 was in Division 7, meaning this one did not do the required number of subjects in order to be graded, and only 1 of them failed. Honorable Minister, we compare in the table number 2 the performance of candidates who sat in 2018 and 2017. What you note from that table is that more candidates, that is 288,387, passed the examination as compared to 287,350 in 2017. This represents slightly over 1,000 more of the children who sat passing the examination compared to that of 2017. We also compare performance in various subjects in the table, and we can see the figures there. But what you read from the table, Honorable Minister, is that there is an overall improvement in performance in English language, Islamic religious education, and physics. Mathematics and biology have also shown improvement at the distinction level. Christian religious education, history, geography, agriculture, and chemistry showed some slight decline in performance overall. However, Honorable Minister, there is still a challenge in the overall pass for science subjects, where we see that nearly half of the candidates who sat for these papers have not been able to achieve the minimum pass 8 level. And among those, even including the others, we see the performance in chemistry as being the worst. We've also compared performance of female and male candidates. As the chairperson has said in our remarks, female candidates performed better in English language. Honorable Minister, this seems to be a preserve of the ladies. Every year they have outshone the males in English language. But in the other subjects, the males have shown slightly better performance, and this disparity is more marked in science subjects. We've also shown the comparison between the genders in terms of the division passes. Again, this confirms that the female candidates slightly were below. The male candidates did slightly better at the division levels of Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3. And the figures for the females tend to rise on the wrong side of the table. Honorable Minister, I will just make some few comments on overall performance of the candidates. As we have stated before, the UCE examination is designed to assess the degree of acquisition of the necessary knowledge, skills, and competencies in the various learning areas, and to lay a foundation for specialization at higher education levels. Examination papers are constructed to test the candidate's knowledge, understanding, and ability to apply knowledge acquired in order to solve problems in given new situations, and also to show the ability to analyze or analytical skills. In the science papers, the exams are designed to test the ability of the candidates to handle the science apparatus while they carry out various experiments. and also to apply the science process skills that involve making measurements, taking observations, recording those observations and any other data, drawing inferences or conclusions from whatever they have observed, presenting the data that they may have collected, and interpreting this data. They should also be able to apply basic scientific knowledge to solve problems in their environment. Honorable Minister, the following challenges are persistent and are responsible for poor performance by the candidates who are in the lower grades of Division 3 and Division 4. And if you look at the table, quite a lot of our learners are in those divisions. We have reported on these in our earlier release statements. The first area that we want to repeat is the issue of language deficiency. We note with pleasure that performance in the English language has improved. However, Honorable Minister, we still note that skills of speech writing, which is quite important and was examined, proved very, very difficult for the majority of the candidates. They found difficulties in using correct protocol, correct spellings, use of tenses correctly, and candidates also found difficulties in inferring answers if they have a passage which they should read and try and get out the answers. But if the question is direct, you find they did not have a lot of problems there. We reported some time back, Honorable Minister, that candidates were reproducing crammed passages when they are writing composition, which is supposed to be original and creative. We reported that teachers were making students cram passages from texts and reproduce these crammed passages in their examination, irrespective of the questions that they are answering. This has reduced slightly, but we still find in this examination many candidates who presented crammed passages where they are supposed to have written original compositions based on topics that were given in the examination. Then we also have where teachers are making candidates cram very difficult vocabulary and using these very inappropriately. And it appears they make them believe that the more difficult words you use in the examination, the more marks you will be given. And so when you read some of these compositions, they do not make sense at all because these words are thrown in where they are not appropriate to be used. The challenge of language deficiency is also reflected in other performance in the other subjects, where the chief examiners continue to report problems of question interpretation, misunderstanding of keywords, and generally poor language expression. Honorable Minister, in sciences, the problems have also remained similar to what we have seen in the last few years. Candidates experiencing problems in handling the apparatus during the practical tests, as well as making or recording observations and making conclusions from those observations, or even presenting the data that they are supposed to take in forms that are appropriate. Examiners have reported that the causes of these inadequacies lie in the fact that teachers are not integrating the teaching of theory and the practical. And one of the biggest problems in chemistry is also failure of candidates to write balanced equations. Honorable Minister, equations are the language of chemistry. And to be a good chemist, you need to know, you must have these skills. It is an indispensable skill in the subject. Evidence available, Mama, also indicates that in many schools, practical lessons are not done by the candidates until towards the UCE examination. And quite often, the candidates go into the practical examination when they're very ill-equipped. This could explain why most of the 1,825 results that we have requested to be withheld are in the practical sciences and mathematics. In fact, about 90% of those are in the sciences. In the higher order questions, these are questions that require application of knowledge in problem-solving situations or making conclusions and so on. We find this also a problem which has been on. Candidates seem to be quite confident or comfortable with those questions that I direct and require only reproducing what they have memorized. In the humanities, apart from the problem of language deficiency, the candidates are also showing evidence of spotting, where teachers examine the question papers that UNEB has administered over the last 2 or 3 years, and by elimination, zero on topics that they imagine the questions are going to come from in the examination. And therefore, candidates are given spotted areas and spotted questions which they practice. And when a question is phrased slightly differently, you find that the candidate's performance is bad, and in such questions, many candidates set their own questions and provide answers as they had spotted in the topic. Irrelevant examples are given. An interesting one, Mama, we had in the history paper 4, which is a history of paper 2, which is a history of West Africa. One of the questions was about contributions of the missionaries. And remember, this is the history of West Africa. But we had very many candidates who were giving examples like missionaries built schools, for example, King's College Budo. Missionaries built hospitals. They're giving examples of Nsambia Hospital. And this is supposed to be the history of West Africa, not Uganda or East Africa for that matter. Mama, there is also evidence of syllabus not being completed. Questions that are set from the later parts of the syllabus are either very unpopular, or those who do them very poorly. Mama, the chair has already commented on examination malpractice. We are requesting, in accordance with Section 4, Subsection 3 of the Act, UNEB Act, that we withhold 1,828 results. This is a very significant drop from last year and even the previous years. A list of affected centers from which results of significant numbers of candidates is appended, and the nature of the malpractice will be communicated to them as they pick the rest of their results. We wish to express our profound appreciation to you. I add my voice to that of my chair, to you, Honorable Minister, and the entire ministry for your invaluable support. And I wish to thank all those persons, the security agencies that helped us in the conduct of these exams. Honorable Minister, as I said, I was given a team of senior officers by the Inspector General of Police to work with, and they have done a tremendous job. And some of them are in the audience, and I request them to stand up and salute you. I want to thank the area supervisors and the heads of the examination centers who helped us conduct the examinations in accordance with the stipulated board regulations. The examiners whose hard work ensured that we marked on schedule and we are able to give you these results 1 week earlier than we did last year. The heads of schools, Mama, who gave us their premises to use as marking centers, they're very important, and we really thank them very sincerely. Finally, in a very special way, Mama, allow me to thank the staff of the UNEP Secretariat for their utmost perseverance, selfless commitment to duty, and personal sacrifices that they made to ensure the timely release of these results. Mama, they continue to do their work in a professional way without fear or favor. We shall not be intimidated or stampeded into doing anything unprofessionally. And in this, Mama, we know we can count on your support. We are a mirror, and if you stand before a mirror and you look bad, you do not smash the mirror. You look at yourself and correct what the mirror is telling you is not right on your body. Mama, heads of UC examination centers can download the results from the comfort of their offices, because as soon as you declare these results released, they will be on the school portals instantly. But we shall also still issue result lists from our offices in Ntinda starting today from around 4 o'clock, not 2. Candidates, their parents, and any other persons that may wish to access their results may do so through their mobile phones, and we have provided the method. You go to the message menu and please type UCE, leave a space, and correctly type the candidate's index number. At this level, it starts with a U something something, and then stroke the candidate's number, and then you send to 6600 on the MTN and Airtel networks. I want to emphasize here, Honorable Minister, that the results obtained by this method are really for notification only and cannot be tendered as official. Result slips and certificates remain the only authentic proof of performance, and candidates should collect these from their respective schools where they registered. We also request schools, upon receiving their results, to study the results and submit any complaints that they may have within 21 days from the release of these results. Honorable Minister, at the request of the secondary school heads of this country, UNEP has not put on results of fees defaulters. There are candidates who were allowed to take the examination although they had not paid substantial amounts in terms of their fees. And quite often, these candidates disappeared, and schools have been losing colossal sums of money. So at the request of the School Head Teachers Association, we have not put on these results and they cannot be accessed by SMS, but the schools will be having them. And as soon as they pay their dues, the schools will be able to release their results to them. So we advise the parents and the guardians to complete their payments before they can access the results at their sitting centers. We, however, issue the following guidelines. 1, charges must only be those that the candidates owed at the time that they were sitting the examination. That is the fees balance or whatever had been reconciled at the time the candidate was sitting the examination. No extra charges should be levied by schools for this. Then, two, in the event that some school is levying extra charges, whoever is affected is asked to appeal to the permanent secretary or to UNEB so that these can be rectified. However, we want to appeal to those parents not to abuse this appeal process, because there may be those that begin to dispute balances that they owed, and then they quickly run to the PS or to UNEB when they are the ones who are in the wrong. This appeal must only be done in very, very genuine cases. Honorable Minister, we have also learned that there are head teachers who are charging their former students money when they go to collect their result slips and certificates. I want to announce that that charge is illegal, because the cost of certificates and slips have already been covered in the examination fees that the candidates have paid. So any school that is charging candidates extra when they come to collect their result slips or their certificates are doing an illegal thing. And we want to encourage that these schools be reported to UNEB so that appropriate sanctions may be taken against them. Honorable Minister, I submit. I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much. The Executive Secretary for UNEB, Mr. Dan Odongo. May I now invite the Chairperson of UNEB, Professor Mary Okwakol, to hand over the results, UCE results, to the Honorable Minister. Before the Honorable Minister comes to address us, may I now invite the Minister of State for Higher Education to come and give his remarks, and thereafter invite the Honorable Minister to come and address this meeting.
Thank you very much. Our chief guest tonight, the First Lady and the Honorable Minister of Education and Sports, my colleague, the Honorable Minister of State for Education, members of Parliament here present, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education and Sports, officials from the Ministry of Education, the Chairman and members of UNEP, guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Mama, I've been given a very simple but very important duty: to invite you and do the most needful. But before I do that, Mama, I want to warmly welcome you to this very important function. I want to thank you really for accepting to grace this function with your personal presence. That shows the commitment and love you have. Mama, I want to thank you for the good leadership which has enabled us to reach this far. Here we are, releasing these results earlier than it was last year, earlier than it used to be. Mama, we thank you very much for leading us well. Mama, before I invite you, I want to make just only 2 complaints. Register to you as the mother of all of us, so that you know when to weep. Only 2 complaints. One is the mistaken belief that is cropping up that good results is a preserve for only a few schools. People are beginning to think that if this one doesn't get 4, then there was a mistake. I feel very cheated, Mama. we are beginning to hear stories like UNEBO undermarked me, UNEBO undermarked school X and Y, which is not true. UNEBO has only one marking scheme, has only one way of grading the marks for all the candidates in the country. But we hear this, and my prayer is that this does not filter into our students' lives. Otherwise, some are going to start relaxing because they are in those schools. I hope this does not happen. The other complaint, Mama, I want to register. By the way, good results come from hard work. Whether you were the best yesterday and today you don't work hard, of course we can't give you last year's results. No, this is not possible. Hard work. We should encourage people to work hard, especially our children, to work hard. These things of saying, because my father was a chief, so I must be, I think does not work in education. Mama, the other complaint I want to register to you as a mother of all of us here is the irresponsible use of social media. Irresponsible use. Somebody of a cup of Marwa, he comes up with a story, posts it, and people believe it, whether false or what, without even thinking about the impact this story will make on the lives of, first of all, on the security of the country, the lives of the individual. Just post, Mama, some students have shared with me that there was, even during examination time, there were those media things, that this is the dear thing on the WhatsApps. Mama, maybe you will talk to us as your children so that we report. We use the social media responsibly. But this irresponsible use of the social media is affecting our sector and is destroying us. Mama, the last complaint is to do with the participation of our parents in the education of these children at this level. I've noted where the parents have, first of all, I want to thank the teachers for doing a good job. Your teachers, Mama, did a very good job in preparing these people. But you find that where the parents actively participated in the education of the children, results have come out. But where the parents have said, those are President Museveni's children, things are not working out very well. I want to appeal and pray that it's too early to abandon these children at this level. Some of us think they are mature. They are grown up. No, it's too early. Mama, I think when you told the parents, I know that the performance would have been much better if the parents, all the parents in this country, played their role of feeding their children, making sure that they attend every day. Things would have been better. Mama, those are the 3 complaints I wanted to register, and thank you for allowing me and for making those few remarks. And I hereby invite you to address your people and finally release the results to us.
Thank you, Honorable Miengo. Honorable Ministers of State for Education, the PS for our ministry, the Chairperson, Uganda National Examination Board, and members of the UNEB board present here, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. I'm also pleased to be releasing the results of the Uganda Certificate of Education, UCE 2018, this afternoon. And I must thank the chairperson, the board, the Executive Secretary and staff of Uganda National Examination Board for the hard work they put in this work to release these results even earlier than they did last year. As I always say on a day like this one, when these results are released early, it does enable the ministry to efficiently handle all other activities such as the selection and placement of learners into post-UCE programs. Parents are also able to plan appropriately for the next steps for their children. I'm pleased also to note, just like I did with 2018 PRE results, that the rate of increase in candidature is much higher than in the previous year. And this has been happening. It's a trend. I was trying to look at the graph to really see whether this is just in these 2 years, but it's been happening now over these since 2016, 2017, and now 2018. The candidature has been going up. Hopefully, as a result of the removal of hindrances or other obstacles previously placed in the path of learners, it is also gratifying that more girls are staying in school and completing this level of education. I am hopeful that at this rate, in the next year or two, parity will have been achieved, meaning that the number of girls enrolling and completing this level of education will equal that of boys, and that is the ideal situation. Another positive development we should not ignore is a reduction of absenteeism. The rate has continued to fall, meaning that more learners are completing the UCE cycle, and we are witnessing a reduction in wastage of resources. I again applaud UNEB for the positive policies put in place to enable our children who have various forms of disabilities to take these exams. I am pleased that these policies have continued leading to a fair assessment of candidates in all categories of disabilities. UNEB also, through the Uganda Prison Service, as you heard, works to offer an opportunity to inmates to take the UCE examination. This is an ideal opportunity to help the inmates become more useful citizens of our country when they are reintegrated back into society. Now, the other positives we should note are, one, the improved performance in the English language subject. English being the medium of instruction, it is instrumental in the candidates' understanding of what is required of them in the questions in various subjects and ability to answer questions coherently. Now that will remain our prayer, because some of the results don't show that this improvement in English language makes the children really understand the questions. Two, overall improvement of performance in physics and improved performance with distinction in mathematics and biology. If you remember, these are subjects where performance has been poor over the years. This improvement should now result in more learners being able to take sciences at a higher level, and this is a good development, as more people will ultimately be available to train as science teachers or take other science-based courses. The pass rates in the sciences are still low, unfortunately, A lot of the problems stem from poor teaching methods, we believe, and lack of practical skills. Reports by UNEB reveal that teachers teach theoretically and the candidates are not adequately exposed to practical experience. They go into the examination without confidence. There is therefore no wonder that most of the cases of suspected malpractice are from the practical examinations in these subjects. Now, the Secondary School Science and Mathematics Project, the SESMAT, has been designed to improve on the teacher's knowledge and skills in teaching sciences and mathematics. Schools are expected, therefore, to pay a contribution from students' collection to sustain this activity. However, I have learned that although schools do collect these contributions from the students, the money is not remitted to the accounts of the SESMAT regional management committees. This has adversely affected the project's ability to run the refresher courses. In future, I'll work with our permanent secretary of our ministry to find out through the regional branches of SESMAT those schools which are in this bad habit of not remitting the funds in order to plug those holes also. Furthermore, the Ministry of Education and Sports is in the process of finding a way to add value to our teachers in an endeavor to bring the teaching and learning to a level that we are all struggling to see in this country. And in line with this, we have formulated a national teacher policy through which the ministry will improve the quality of our teachers and their service in general through retraining and continuous professional development. Now, having said that, I must hasten to add, as Honorable Miyungo pointed out, that there is also a parent's role here. That we can never forget that there is a parent's role in education. That this is a shared responsibility, and we've said this many times. Because some parents do try to help their children, to walk with them on this journey, but some of those who try only think that all they have to do is pay an extra cost to keep the children at school, sometimes for very long hours of coaching, and the children get so tired and confused because many times they are made to just cram some material that teachers assume will be part of the exam. When examination questions are even just slightly differently set, the children can't answer those questions. Therefore, the ministry is striving to ensure that the teaching enables children to learn and understand so that they are able to answer questions about those concepts whichever way the questions come up. This will only happen if children truly learn to learn and understand what they are learning, so that even if they are met on the road and they are asked questions, they can answer because they understand, they internalize about what they are learning. But what many of my colleagues were saying here, what is happening in many of the schools, is to just make the children cram stuff teachers think are going to come up in exams. And when they come, even when they come, but questions are set differently, children fail to answer because that's not how they crammed to answer. So we have a problem, and we have known that we have this problem until we truly change the quality of the teachers, which we are now striving to do, we may struggle with these problems. Nonetheless, it is uplifting to remember that where we are now, examination malpractices has dropped drastically to almost 60%. The challenge, however, is to ensure that malpractice is not perpetuated by teachers and invigilators themselves in the examination rooms. Because the understanding here is that teachers cannot cheat for candidates if the head teacher is not accomplice to this. Government will continue to support UNEB, of course, in not only ensuring improved security at all stages of the examination process, but also tracking those head teachers and schools that are involved in examination malpractices. In addition to subjecting the culprits to our own internal disciplinary processes as prescribed by the Teachers' Code of Conduct, public service regulations, and government standing orders. The ministry will also work with other relevant authorities and stakeholders to stamp out this vice. These include the Board of Governors, the foundation bodies, the district and other local governments, and political leaders such as the members of parliament. And I'm happy we have some members of parliament right here with us. The process of addressing weaknesses in the education delivery process and or tracking performance of those schools that are responsible for the last Thursday, 24th January 2019, will enhance timely reporting and will put these schools and their head teachers and teachers under a spotlight. In the same vein, I'd like to caution local government leaders that do not release all the funds we disburse to the district and municipal councils for inspectorates for inspection of schools. I have received disturbing reports that in some cases, funds are simply shared out on the pretext that it is not only the inspectorate that is involved in monitoring schools or education programs at that level. Now, I find that argument totally unacceptable because there are funds separately released to RDCs, to the COWs, and other officers for purposes of monitoring all government programs. But the funds for inspection should only be ring-fenced and used for this purpose only, and that's why that money is really sent there. The chairperson of UNEB has commented on the falsehood now that have been going around in social media and perpetuated on talk shows. It is irresponsible and most frustrating to hear that people who should know better are the ones spreading lies to cause public discontent. UNEB cannot have a policy of undermarking or awarding free marks to children in any part of our country, because such a policy would have no logical basis. I'm fully aware of the processes adopted by UNEB in marking and grading of candidates in all the examinations, the board and ministers. And I know that selective grading to favor or disadvantage any group of candidates does not and cannot exist. It is therefore my prayer that no one will intentionally imagine or distort information and share it in the public arena as if there is any truth in it. Finally, I must congratulate the candidates, their teachers, the parents and guardians, for this achievement. I encourage those whose results were not satisfactory to try again and not to just drop out. Let us all draw strength from the fact that transformation of education is a process which requires all of us to support it patiently and know confidently that it must come. But it will come if we are all involved in it and if we continue to support it. I am personally gratified to see those entrusted with this responsibility doing their best, right from the head teachers, government officers at the central and local government levels, and I want to thank you all and urge you to keep the faith as results are clearly beginning to show. I accordingly thank all other institutions of government which assisted UNEB in the conduct of these examinations. Please note that the dates earmarked now for the Senior 5 selection exercise are the 14th to 15th of February 2019 at the UMA Showgrounds, Lugogo, while the reporting date to schools where the candidates will have been admitted is the 25th February 2019. It is now my pleasure to release the 2018 Uganda Certificate of Education examination results for the public use, and God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mama and Minister of Education and Sports. I have two quick announcements to make. The first one is, at this juncture, I'm going to request the senior officers from UNEB, together with the senior officers from the Ministry of Education, to go together with Mama and the team up here at the high table for a very brief group photo, and then we shall return here for the press conference. So I request all the journalists and members of the media houses to stay here briefly as the photograph is taken outside, and then we shall carry on with the press conference. Thank you very much. The chairs are outside. Yes. There's specialist people going to do that.
We are coming back here, so I can leave my...
Yeah.
politics bamujje mu security eggwanga lyaffe ligenda kukola ki kufuna obuzibu nze omuntu wa wansi atuula wansi ku ttaka ssebo nze ŋŋenda okuweerera omwana oyo ng'onzimbidde essomero lya kalina
naye ne gavumenti oba eri munkwe etubuzaabuza tekutula eri awo tulage eno tulage eno esayidi katale nesayidi katale kakati abantu ate koona abantu basale nga badde eno nga badde eno emotoka zibakoone awantu atwaga gavumenti etekawo sente wetulaba ambulensi zetuzibira omuntu n'awulira akagombe ka ambulensi ng'ereeta mulwadde n'alemera mu kkubo.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we please rise for the anthems?
So that at least some people still hear.
You may take your seats. I request the members of the press, media houses, to please come. Go ahead and take your photo, your questions. You raise your hand, mention your media house, your name, and thereafter take your question.
Mortals hide in its embrace to leave a trail of crime and despair. But at the crack of dawn, light illuminates the darkest alleys, lifting the spirits of the desolate lands where victims of senseless killings are buried. The messengers are the torchbearers who must bear the risk to secure a better world. Panorama, beginning this Sunday, 3rd February 2019 on NTV at 9 p.m. and the Daily Monitor on Monday, 4th, 2019.
Play and win every 10 minutes. For every 1,000 you spend, it gives you 1 entry into the jackpot this Sunday.
On MTN, simply dial *165*33#. That's *165*33#. Then enter your 3 lucky numbers. Then enter your 1,000 shillings. And on Airtel, dial *185*33#. That's *185*33#. Then enter your 3 lucky numbers. Then enter your 1,000 shillings and get that super feeling today.
Super